Hello, my name is Dwayne James, and this is my criminal trial exercise for my CJ 460 Criminal and Court Procedures class at the University of Texas A&M Commerce. During this video, I will be taking the side of the prosecutor and give you an idea of how I would try this case if I were the prosecutor in this case. The basic overview of this case is that two Philadelphia men carjacked a woman at gunpoint, and later, while driving the stolen car, these two men injured and killed three children who were selling fruit on the side of the road. Okay, the first thing I'm going to give you is what I think my ideal juror will be for this case. My ideal juror for this case will be people with children, because there were three children killed in the course of the actions of these two men. So they will be able to more closely identify with the pain of the loss of their children. And because they will be able to more closely identify with the thought of the death of children of theirs, they would more likely give me the guilty verdict that I would be seeking as a prosecutor. The type of juror I mostly probably stay away from is men without children. And the reason I would be staying away from men without children is because, it's not because I don't think that men without children wouldn't be sympathetic towards the fact of somebody losing their child. It's because there are better people suited for my point of view as prosecutor of this case than single men. Single men tend to be macho and would probably think that I wouldn't get carjacked in this situation. So, it's not that they wouldn't be suitable as a juror for this case for me, but it's just that there are more better suited jurors than single men. The second part of this is my opening statement, which reads, on this normal day, two men carjacked an innocent woman at gunpoint and held her against her will. These two men not only stole this woman's car, but made this woman terrified of her own life by holding her at gunpoint. About a mile after stealing this woman's car, these two men ran into an innocent woman and her three children. Because of the actions of these two men on this day, two women have emotional scars and three children have lost their lives. The carjacking victim will testify that these two men carjacked her at gunpoint and will tell you that they later hit the woman and her three children. The second woman in this case, will tell you the type of car that hit her and her three children, which in the best possible case will give me the verdict of guilty by stating that in my opening argument, and will put the jurors in the right mindset of what they should be looking for during the time that I'm prosecuting these two men who are guilty of committing this crime. During witness testimony, I think my star witness will be the carjack victim. The reason that my star witness is my carjacked victim is because she seen the crime from the beginning to the end. She was the one who got carjacked, and she's the one who saw these two men run into the woman and the three children. So there's no better witness for me than the first victim who was carjacked. So some of the questions that I would ask this woman, first off, is, did the two men on trial carjack you? This will be able to provide me, which will give the jurors the mindset that these two men in fact did carjack this woman and take her car. The second question I'll possibly ask her is, was she scared for her life when these two men took her car? This question make the jurors more sympathetic towards the victim of the carjacking incident, and will more likely pin them against the defendants in this case. The third question is, do you know the defendants? The reason I'm going to ask this question is because if she knows the defendants, then there would be some kind of reason for them to have carjacked her. So what I'm looking for is the answer of no, she did not know the defendants. So that will absolve her of any kind of reason for having involved when these two men carjacked her. That's what I'm looking for, and it makes the defendant seem more guilty if they have stolen the car of an innocent bystander who had nothing to do with their actions on this day. The third question I would ask her is can she tell me in her own words what happened on this day? This question will more likely further make the defendant seem guilty of committing the action and will put the jurors in the mindset of what happened from the victim's standpoint, which would be good as a prosecutor for my case. And the fourth question I would probably ask her is, did she see the two men run into the family? That will make the victims guilty of the second crime of the assault with a deadly weapon, basically because they ran into the kids with they ran into the mother, and guilty of involuntary manslaughter, which is another charge I think they would be charged with because of the killing of the three children. The second person that I want to testify for me is the woman that is still alive, whose three children were killed in this car accident. Um, the first question I would ask her is, what were they doing on that day? It'll put the jurors in a mindset that these are two just innocent people who are selling fruit on the side of the road to make money for their family. And the second question I would probably ask her is, did she see the type of vehicle that ran into her? The reason I'm going to ask this question is because if she can identify the type of car that the first victim had or owns, this will place the two men in the second act of this crime, which is killing the three children and severely injuring the victim, the second victim. And my closing argument will be, on this day, two men carjacked an innocent woman at gunpoint, terrifying her of her life, and later, while driving the stolen vehicle, two men severely injured another woman and killed her three children while they were selling fruit on the corner to make extra money for their family. The carjacking victim has already testified that these two men are the ones who stole their car and killed the innocent children and injured their mother. The woman who was selling fruit has already given you a description of the first victim's vehicle, which hit and injured and killed her three children. With all of this evidence that has been presented to you in this case, you should find the two men guilty of the charges presented against them. During jury instruction, I think the two men will be charged with 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. The first count of assault with a deadly weapon happens during the carjacking, in which they threatened the woman with bodily harm with a gun when they got in the car. And the second is when they hit the woman with the car. Those will constitute the charges of 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon. And then they have 3 counts of involuntary manslaughter because they killed the 3 children who were selling fruit at the fruit stand. And then they will be charged with carjacking. And of course, that's because they carjacked the woman at gunpoint and stole her car. Hopefully, with this evidence, the type of jurors I have chosen, my opening and closing arguments, this will present the jurors with enough evidence to convict these 2 men of committing this crime that they have been charged with. That's my video, and I would like to thank you for watching. Goodbye.